What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Canescast. This is the inaugural show, and we're bringing you all things Miami Hurricanes football, and we'll probably throw a little basketball and baseball in there from time to time, but football season's right around the corner, so we're pumped. My name is Phil Van Pelt,
Hi, everyone. I'm Garrett Halsey.
and we are two guys that just live and breathe and bleed Miami Hurricanes football. So I grew up in that neck of the woods. South Florida is my home. I'm a diehard Miami fan across the board. Garrett and I became great friends because he is also a diehard Miami Hurricanes fan. I haven't quite swung him to the other guys yet, but that's coming. That's coming. But all things Hurricanes football, the season's right around the corner. So I'm super excited to get things rolling and just have fun with everybody, talking some Canes football. It's what we're here for. And it's our favorite time of the year. Football season's the best season. Some people, love winter, summer, spring, whatever. It's football season. That's the best season. So with all that being said, Garrett, what do you think about the offseason moves made so far? And really, I mean, what are your expectations for this season?
Well, I got to be honest with you, Phil. I was watching all the touchdowns from last season just on YouTube here, and you go through this season, and it starts right off the bat with the loss against Alabama. We just could never get positive momentum for the season. It all turned, as we all know, on the Florida State game where we lost our former coach, and here we are, with Miami Mario Cristobal. We got a new regime. I really am excited because it's a new era in college football. I believe what the name, image, and likeness is going to allow us to do is really get back to being competitive on the field. Because instead of all the nonsense that's been going on in college football for the last 20 years, really since we were at the top, I would argue that some of the off-field things have really kept us from having a competitive team season in, season out. So this seems to be where we're finally free of all that stuff. And, we got a lot of things positive going on. Mario Cristobal, I'm super excited. A former player, he's been through all our regimes that had success. He was here when Butch Davis was here in that 2000 team. He went and, left for Shiano's coaching staff in 2001, but he saw the team that was good enough to win the national championship the year before we did, right? And then he came back at 2005 as a graduate assistant, I believe, and saw kind of where we were at the peak and really kind of falling off of, and I think where Larry Coker kind of lost kind of some of that high momentum that he brought or he got to walk into. So here we are, almost 20 years later to the day, this guy takes over our program, and let's see what we have. I'm super excited for what we are in store for.
Yeah, for me, honestly, the thing that excites me the most is the recommitment to the football program, because for a while it was
Absolutely.
felt
Absolutely.
like it was just, it was flat, and you were kind of going through the motion and, winning 7, 8 games here or there. Yes, 2017 was great with Rick, and I got to give Rick a lot of credit as far as bringing that
Right. Right.
passion
We were
back to
there.
some
We
level.
Each of us saw that team. We saw where we can be when we're good. It's good for college football. I'll leave it to you. Go ahead, buddy.
No, yeah, no, for sure. It's you hear everybody say that. I mean, Colin Cowherd says that. You hear, analysts all the time. Kirk Herbstreit was a big reason why I believe, and a lot of fans believe, we're in this position for publicly putting the pressure on the university to do something, because football does matter. It was Miami against everybody for so long, and Miami was at the top of the game in 3 different decades, and has been in the conversation. And people want to dog and say, "Oh yeah, is Miami back? Is the U back?" Right? That's the moniker. And for me personally, being a lifelong Canes fan, I've been going to games since it was the Orange Bowl when I was little, and Pro Player Stadium, Joe Robbie, then Pro Player, Dolphin Stadium, Land Shark Stadium, all the names up until now it's Hard Rock Stadium. Going to games pretty much every year of my life, and the U will be back when the U wins championships, and that's the expectation, and that's
Exactly.
what I'm
Yeah.
hoping. That's what I'm hoping this new regime can breed, because at the very end of it all, like I said, the recommitment, whether or not I'm very passionate that Cristobal will work out and he's the guy that we need to have there. But I mean, look at the moves we made. I mean, like, just recommitting to the amount of money that you need to spend in today's day and age. Now, the NIL matters, yes. That's going to help keep a lot of players home, because let's be real, the NIL, oh, well, players are getting paid now, it's legal. They were always getting paid. We saw stuff at Alabama. We see stuff at Georgia. Players putting pictures up that I still have screenshots of brand new trucks on the practice facility, and then all of a sudden they pull it off of Facebook or Instagram, wherever they put it, because oh wait, that's probably not a good idea because that's showing, hey, oh, I'm probably getting something for signing here, right? And then same thing with Alabama. Nick Saban has a car dealership. There's all sorts of stories about players driving around what Camaros or whatever payment free vehicles for 4 years. Lots of things there. So coaches have been doing this. Programs have been doing this. LSU had a booster go to jail for hundreds of thousands of dollars of benefits he gave away, but nothing happens. They dropped the hammer on Miami. They wanted to throw it down, right? Always
Exactly.
upsets me the most because when you have a program, when you even flirt with the word death penalty, when there's the NCAA has their own things that they're out there about, with having to back off the lawsuit against Miami because some what's the word I want? Some inappropriate behavior. I'll leave it at that on their end, and then they finally had to back off the sanctions of Miami. But yet you have a program like Penn State, which was covering up one of the worst things you could ever imagine, and yet they're down for 5 years. They're right back. Nothing happened, but yet they want to set us back like 10 something years. So yes, I believe this all will equal out with the NIL. But it's just, again, I know this is long winded, but it's the recommitment. You look at our coaching staff, Cristobal bringing in Josh Gaddis, he over Michigan, right? Michigan's his big name, right? Oh, Miami doesn't have the money. Well, yeah, we do have the money. You just got to spend it. You got to commit to it. Kevin Steele, defensive coordinator. Charlie Strong was just the head coach of Texas not that long ago. He's our linebackers coach and co-defensive coordinator. So there's names. Jason Taylor, obviously, is a Dolphins fan. I am Jack. So this coaching staff has names. And across the board, that's going to help recruiting. And it's just where it should be to commit to be back to greatness, to play with the big boys. And that's all you can ask. And the recruits, it's already paying big dividends when you look at the recruiting class we're projected to have, players we have in place. I like what Diaz tried to do. I like where his mind was. He said all the right things, but he was in over his head. I was upset at the time. I liked bringing him back because, oh, we all love Diaz. Turnover chain. But I was upset at the time a little bit because we didn't even cast a net out there for a coaching search. We should have, but hey, it brought us to now. So hey, everything happens for a reason, right? I'm excited for Cristobal and to be back on top. I'm ready for it.
I gotta be honest with you. The cupboard is not bare. I think Manny Diaz did a good job. I really think if things were a little different and he had time and he came from a head coaching position to our program and ready to take over, I think it would have been different. Maybe had Rick stayed on that whole year and we would have turned it over to him, maybe that would have been a better move looking back. Give him, that comfort of not being the take the heat, but learn a little bit under Rick for one more year. But be that as may, it doesn't matter. What's in the past is in the past. I sit and go back through all the seasons and the tough years that we've been as fans, experiencing. When I graduated high school, Miami won the national championship. My senior year of football, the best of the best we were watching. You just kind of when you're a kid, you always just remember every time there was a national championship, right? It's like the most memorable part of the year. And I just remember watching that national championship game against Nebraska, and it was just amazing. The team that was on the field was unbelievable. I mean, Ed Reed wasn't even the star on the field necessarily, but he was the star of the team. Knowing what all you know, and so that's just what I'm excited to hopefully be seeing again. Ken Dorsey. Let's see. Do we have the next Ken Dorsey? Is that Van Dyke, right? We have a ton of receivers. I was just going through the list. A lot of these kids played good football last year. Jacoby George,
Oh,
Frank Ladson coming over.
Rayshon, Xavier
Restrepo had
Restrepo.
some great games. Keyshawn Smith had some great success early in the season. The tight end position, we got Will Mallory, and Elijah Arroyo had, I believe, a little bit of playing time, and then we get Dominic Mammarelli, a freshman, who's finally we get big time kids coming in to keep this cupboard. It's not bare. So with Cristobal having, he wants to prove himself. He did a good job at Oregon, but he needs to come in and start bringing us back to the upper echelon of college football where we should be. Somebody that I was really excited for, and maybe guy like Jared Harrison Hunt, a guy that a new regime, a new breath of fresh air. Can this kid really turn on and finally have some of the success? I remember how high I was on him in his freshman year. I was like, man,
Yeah.
we just got a player in this guy. He's underrated. Watch the tape. Watch this guy. I think Cristobal will be the perfect thing for a lot of these guys. The offensive line has to have a huge impact from his experience. That's his motif, and I think that's where you and I have talked about. If we're going to get back to championships, we got to start being big on the interior. We got to start dominating people. We can play the spread offense and spread the ball around, but you got to hold the point of attack, and that's been big. We've been really missing out on big recruits, guys from home that we've been losing to Florida, Florida State, or Alabama. Doesn't matter, name it. Those types of things, I think we're turning. Where we're going to start getting the IMG kids going to our school instead of going everywhere in the nation, right? And then go and be the best player going into the NFL drafts. So I really think it is. I think it's the time is now. The name, image, and likeness levels the playing field. It just brings more back to what should have always been the exposure on where you're going to play. You're going to play in the best place in the country, man. You're going to play in front of a great fan base. You and I can attest. We've been in that stadium. I watched the Notre Dame game in 2017 when when the turnover chain was louder than touchdowns. It was unbelievable. You could just the intensity, and that's there. This fan base is there to support a good team. I'll be honest with you, when things are going bad and you watch unspirited football and you just like, man, these kids don't care. Why should I care? I guess I can see why people aren't flooding that stadium. But now we have good football teams. We have a good football coach, I believe. I think we have a good football place to play. Let's get back to it, man. Come full circle. Let's start getting back to winning big football games. Let's just start by winning big time football games. Let's go back to where we go into Texas A&M and take down a really good team. I was just reading on some of their who run the quarterback job. That kid is the fastest player on their team. I've screamed for years. We need a fast an athlete at quarterback to dominate the field, and that's exactly what's going to come in. And we have to go take down at Texas A&M. That kid is supposed to be a decent athlete. I don't think I think we're doing the right thing this season by getting prepared for 2 games and then play the big boys. The game against Alabama last year, if we were if we were Mario Cristobal's second year, I'd be psyched for that game. But so here we are. What are we going to see? Are we going to see a team that's ready to get back?
Yeah, yes and no with that, because I believe, and first of all, I want to apologize. I think I said Rayshawn. I'm in the midst of reading things too while we're doing this, so I apologize. Kayshawn Smith is who I was talking about when I said that. But Frank Ladson,
we got Brashard Smith.
Yeah,
is the other good player.
Yeah, I think I combined a couple of names there, so I apologize for that. But when you talk about perfect timing and stuff like that, yes, we would have played Alabama a couple games in last year. Maybe it would have been different. But in that, looking back, it would have been good experience for Van Dyke. But honestly, the way Van Dyke came in and he grew and he got better game by game by game by game and just kept balling. I don't know that going up against a powerhouse like Alabama like that for the first game would have been the best course of action. De'Ara King handled that. I guess I'm saying I didn't want it to like crush his confidence his first game out there. So now, yeah, I'm less worried. Now it's all about, okay, yeah, go play Texas A&M. Let's go take them down there. Next year we have them at home. Go play Clemson and beat them at Clemson. Like, I want to see this. And then whatever bowl game. But you're right. Winning big games is what it's about, because that's what's been lacking. And new quarterback every year, or every few years with the way guys go pro. I think if Van Dyke kills it this year, he's going to be gone. So then we're going to be in a position where we have another, and quarterbacks can step in and kill it from Jump Street all the time. They do in college football. But let's be real. Van Dyke right now, arguably, you look at it, he's the best quarterback we've had in a very long time when you look at his potential draft status. As a first round pick. I don't know that we're going to have we haven't had anybody in a while get drafted at the quarterback position everywhere else, but not the quarterback position. Like he is projected to be drafted. I mean, he's a projected top 10 pick right now. So I can't say that we've had really. Brad Kaya had a moment where people thought he might end up, leaping into that stratosphere the next year. But we're going to have the more talented passer in that game against A&M. And you're right, 2 warm-ups. But the thing with that, the 2 warm-up games are we're going to win. I think the spread on the Bethune-Cookman game coming up this Saturday is 45 and a half points. So we're gonna bludgeon them. And then who do we play? Middle Tennessee, I believe. And then we go to A&M. So would I like a potential, I can't say anybody, anybody in your conference can give you a tough game, but even a Duke or somebody like that where you kind of ease into it a little bit, but the level of play is a little higher because that's a huge jump. That's a huge jump. I think Texas A&M is probably a little overrated right now, but let's see how the season shakes out. They lost a lot to the pros. And let's see how the season shakes out. But I would like a little bit tougher of a test because that's kind of going from 0 to 60, like quick, fast, and in a hurry. So,
Well, and so let's say we're gonna say in our inaugural show we're gonna be a prediction for the season. I think we've had a good amount of dialogue on what we've kind of expected, what we've kind of come to kind of expected into the season. Good players. What do you let's start with what is your prediction? You look at the whole schedule. We got tough games. We got Texas A&M on the road. We got Clemson on the road. I gotta say, both of those teams when we play them are going to be top 5 teams. We got a tough team,
I don't know that they are
Pitt
because
to end the
A&M
season.
A&M's
Well,
not. Hang on.
they're not going to lose 2 games before they get to us. So they're 6 now. They're gonna assume they win both their 2 games. Uh, they're going to be in the top 5. Let's not kid ourselves. And then Clemson, assume they take care of business, they're going to be in the top 5. So they're 4 now. We're 16. I think that's fair. I think that's a good place to start. I think that, we get 2 games to kind of get out there, get everyone acclimated to the season, get ready for a big game. I think that road test is going to be tough. Uh, what is your prediction for the season, Phil? Go ahead and give it to him. I'll let you start. What do you think our tests are at the end of 12 games? We won't go any farther than that. We'll just say, what is the end of our regular season record?
And I flipped that. Sorry, guys. I actually flipped. We go Bethune Cookman, Southern Miss. Then we play A&M. Then we play Middle Tennessee. Then we're on to our ACC schedule. So I flipped Southern Miss,
Okay.
Middle Tennessee. Both are, what you would look at as we're going to win those games by a pretty heavy margin.
We're favored. We should be favored in those games.
No, we will be. The only game, and I was just reading a couple of articles that we're not favored in. I think the only 2 games we're not favored in are, as of now, injuries, teams exceed and then drop expectations all over the place across college football. But the only 2 games we're not favored in right now are A&M and Clemson. Now, do I think that Clemson, second to last game of the season, is going to be ranked in the top 5? Clemson had a letdown last year a little bit, and tell me where they got better. Ladson came back home to
But
Miami.
let's go on with
I
that
know we're
game
going to go
at
to
the
the
end of the
season,
season.
but I'm talking
I
about your
got you.
point here for a second.
I
I don't
got you. I
see
got
that.
you.
I don't
I
see that
got you.
Clemson's going to be a top 5 team at that point because I think they'll lose somewhere along the lines there. And you got to think, I mean, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, they're all going to be. Notre Dame's probably a little high for me. A&M probably won't lose their first 2 games, like you're saying. But I gotta say, I think a double-digit winning season, a 10-2 season, to me, I'm okay with that. And that's something that I'm willing to say. Yes, I would love to see undefeated, but realistically, do I think that we win every game? I would love to. Do I think that we win both of the games, the toughest games on the schedule right now, A&M Clemson? Yes, I would love to say we do. Is it more likely to me that we split them? Yes. Is it out of the realm of possibility that we split them and then drop a game we have no business losing? That's college football in general, and that is kind of the stigma that I would love to see us shake. So if we do lose 2 games, the 2 games I'd be like, okay, I'm fine with losing would be Clemson and A&M as it stands right now. So I'll say 10-2. 9-3 is the absolute worst I'll go to with you lose those 2 games theoretically, and then you drop a random game in there to a Virginia or somebody you should not lose to. If it's 9-3 and somehow we were to beat A&M, we beat A&M and Clemson and those 3 lots, that's you can't do that. So some of those losses have to be those big guys if you lose it like that. But I'm going to say 10-2, and the ceiling, the floor is 9-3. Ceiling is I would love to say undefeated, but it's a tough one to say. So
All right. And again, I apologize for dragging off your point then.
Oh,
if
you're
you were
fine.
using that to
You're
get to
fine.
your season analysis. My apologies. So I will say I'm not doing this as a homer. I'm very confident I could stand by this prediction of 12-0. I believe this is a good team. This is a good coaching staff. We have a good schedule set up for success, sustaining it through a tough ACC schedule. We've never gone through the gauntlet of ACC schedules and not had to slip up, right? We outside of the 2017 season, did we right? We lost our two games were uh, non-conference losses, right? They were against outside of Clemson, excuse me. We've never gone through the Coastal Division outside of that season without a loss, right?
Yeah,
So
we dropped the game to Pitt, then we lost to Clemson in the ACC championship, and then we lost to Wisconsin in the Orange Bowl.
so again, I can yeah, we've never gone through the ACC schedule without losing games. So uh, this year, I don't see where we should have a stronger team. I like our quarterback depth. You know, again, watching some of those touchdowns, Jake Garcia was slinging it uh, all over the field. So that kid's here to back up Tyler Van Dyke. We've
Sure, but
got
not against any competition yet.
I like having the two games to get him ready, get him some time, get him some burn, get him with offense.
Yeah.
Again, this season sets up much better where we're not under the pressure. We kept winning a game and losing a game. Then we lose a game last season. You know, then we win again and we get ahead of schedule and then we fall to 5-5. You know, so this season sets up for momentum. Get in there, get that Texas A&M, get that win, and then let's go. You know, let's finish the season strong. Clemson's got a big game. I did look at their schedule here just recently. They got a big game 2 weeks before us, Notre Dame. So I can see those two having a big battle. That game could be tough, you know, and then us right after that, you know, I'm ready. Let's take them on. And then I want to say it right here. I want to be, you and I have discussed, we're going to go to a game this year. We won't maybe reveal right at this point, but I want to be at a big time game this year. And let's end this season with Pitt. They're ranked right now 17, right behind us, and they were the winners of the division last year. So we put it on them. We won that game, right? They're going to come in, I would say, try to derail our season and take us down. And I want to see us, you know, go out and finish the season strong, 12-0. Let's do this. The
Well,
U,
for us
baby.
too. I mean, I'm
I
I'm
don't
right
want to
there
say
with
we're
you.
back. I want to win a championship first, but
Yeah.
I want to say we got this. We got the medal. We got a good time. Let's do this. 12-0.
For me, I look at that schedule just like you're talking about, and when I look at A&M's schedule too, they have a stretch. They got right after us. They play Arkansas, Mississippi State, then Bama, South Carolina, then Ole Miss. So they got guys coming in. So you know, as far as their conference, and I believe that you know maybe you catch them looking ahead a little bit there, but you can't. Miami's a name and coming into their house, so I don't believe that that's going to be the case. I do think that you know they're going to lose. They're going to lose some games. A&M's not going to go undefeated. I just hope that we're one of them. I don't know that Clemson will lose to Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's a little overhyped, but again, I don't know what to make of Clemson. They lost two huge coaches. They lost their AD. You know,
Yeah, to the U,
DJ
baby.
I'm totally spacing how to pronounce his last name, but Ujalele or however you say that. His last like he was kind of a letdown last year for him. So I believe that Dabo will probably have him as prepared as he can be to take that next step. Clemson's obviously no joke yet. They've been at the top for a while now. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. If we win that game against Texas A&M, I will tell you that yes, the expectation will be to not lose another game. 100%. 100%. The expectation will be because you look and go, well, they beat A&M at A&M. Middle Tennessee next week. Okay, 4-0. Then you got UNC. UNC lost a lot. Okay, 5-0. Virginia Tech. Okay, 6-0. Then Duke 7-0, right? Then you go Virginia 8-0. Florida State, throw stuff out when it comes to rivalries. I do not
But
like Florida State at all, but
we're
you
taking
got
that
to win
back.
that.
We're gonna get that back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you throw it
got to
out,
win
right?
that game
Georgia Tech trap game right there. I hate that kind of game right
on the
there.
road in Atlanta, right
Yep.
before the big game against Clemson. You
And
know,
then you
so
got
a
Pitt at
trap game
home. So
always. But
it's and then you don't want that letdown coming out. But then if you won at Texas A&M, you should be able to go win at Clemson, especially because Clemson will probably be further. You know, they're not going to be ranked as high, but they're going to be motivated. They're going to be ready. I want to see competitiveness. That's the biggest thing that I saw with Manny Diaz. Is it seemed like no matter what the game it was, what game it was, excuse me, against big competition, he just did not show up. I really cannot look back and say what was a really big win that Manny Diaz had. It's hard to find him. It really is. Rick had that
Yeah.
2017 season, prime time against Virginia Tech, beat the brakes off him. Notre Dame comes in the next week, just send them back with nothing to think about, nothing positive to think about at all. Just crushed them.
Steal their soul. Steal their soul.
End their season.
Steal a little of that mystique,
When you don't
baby.
play in a conference, you can't lose a game. And they don't play in a conference. As much as they want to lump themselves in with the ACC, they do not play in a conference. They do for basketball, not football. So again, the expectations are high and you're setting that up, but the expectation should be every year for Miami. It just is what it is. It should be 9 wins is the absolute worst. 10, 11, 12 wins. That's what you're getting. A bad season is that. That should be what a bad season is. Gone are the days of 7, 8 wins. That's middle of the road. That's not Miami football. So you need to get back to 9, 10 wins, double-digit wins. That's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum.
I would have to agree with you. Yep.
If you expand the season, or expand the playoff, excuse me, and you have more teams start coming in, eventually we might see a 2-loss team. If Alabama has 2 losses, they'll probably put them in because they love Alabama. But we have yet to see that unless everybody has 1 loss. And because you always have a team that's going to be undefeated, that's going to kind of take that 1 spot or 2 spots. Then who do you put in, right? So if you expand the playoff, then you have a couple of opportunities to put a couple more teams in. A 2-loss team could get in. Right now, college football is kind of unforgiving. You get 1 loss, you get 2 losses, you're praying that everything goes your way. You have 1 loss. And that's also the thing too. We got to remember here when you're looking at the schedule, when you talk about if you do lose a game, those are the games you want to potentially lose. You don't want to lose a game. You want to win those games. But if you were to lose and you drop to A&M or you drop to Clemson and they're both ranked, it's a lot better than saying, "Oh man, I slipped up at Carolina if they're not, or
oh
Duke,
man, or
something like
Duke or
that."
Virginia. We always lose somewhere, and when we are not winning the big time games and we're slipping up, like you're saying, these are the reasons why we've been talking 9-3, 8-5, and it's fine. Not fine. It's not fine, but one season every once in a while, 8-5, okay, but we're talking that's our record every year. Every year we're 8-5, 7-6. Like, no way, man. That's not the teams that come out of Miami.
You're talking about with the
right?
bowl game at the end of it all, yeah.
So I believe those days are hopefully long in the past. I would like that we're launching this show, you and I, as really good friends and just lovers of the U. That's what we're coming to launch this show for now. We're excited. The time is now. You've got things going. I've got things going on that just make this the right time. We're finally tired of talking about this and not sharing it with people. We want everyone to share how much we love, the Canes. And, we want to see you guys at the games. We will be there. We will hopefully have a game, we're at this season, and everything withstanding, we will be there, of course. So, man, it's exciting. It's exciting to be a Canes football fan, man. I last saw a game where we went to Dallas and watched the LSU Canes, game, and it just didn't go our way. And it was just the complete opposite from the experience that I had the year prior. I saw one of the greatest Canes game in recent memory, and then honestly, just you come in and you watch that stuff, and it's just hard.
What was frustrating about that is because that was the expectations were so high coming into that season. We were favored over LSU. We didn't know that LSU was on the cusp of this. Where Joe Burrow, his first game was going to end up becoming not that year, but the next year, one of the greatest college quarterback seasons ever.
I literally
we didn't
watched
know any of that.
I watched us compete against the national champions because there wasn't a lot of kids that left that team that weren't on that next team the next year. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, all the linebackers,
Clyde
the defensive
Edwards-Helaire, I think, was on that.
So I saw a really good team. We were competitive with that team. There were some things that happened in that game that kind of threw the momentum, and that really just kind of did us in. But, that didn't look like such a better football team than us. So what's frustrating is that we have talent. We've talked about in the league, there's still guys from Miami that are good at the positions, or not maybe the best and haven't dominated like the early 2000s into the middle to 2010s, but they're still good players. We'll have a great position group full of Canes. You know, tight ends probably more so than any position right now. Recently with Njoku, I would say he's one of the top 5 at his position. You know, that's just what we're dealing with right now. We need to get back to producing high level football players. You know,
Defensive end stuff. I mean, you
you
look
know,
at Phillips and Rizzo.
Jalen Phillips, Rousseau are looking good. Those kids can be dominant players at their position. We can finally start getting back to
Calais Campbell's still playing.
Calais Campbell, you know, still in there. So I want to see Canes littering the
Denzel Perriman.
NFL rosters again. You know, where we're having every year should be a first round pick out of Miami every year. This is ridiculous. We have not had a quarterback worth the salt since Vinny Testaverde, right? I mean, really, to be a high level draft pick, Steve Walsh was technically our last first round pick, and that was a supplemental draft, and that was because it was Jimmy and his guy, you know. So let's see Tyler Van Dyke. Let's go out there and show people that Canes can come out back and be NFL players again. You know, let's dominate that position with NFL football players. I like honestly, the roster looks good. I like Ja'Cory Brown being a kid that can dominate. I think he's an athlete. He can dominate the field, but he doesn't have to play right now. He can sit back properly and play when his time comes, he'll be ready. Jake Garcia looked good that I saw. He looked just as good throwing the ball around. You know, he's got experience. He'll get more. He backs up Tyler Van Dyke. I like that. This with Showa, I feel good about him being the third quarterback. I would assume this year. But the running back position, go through it, man. You got Donald Chaney, ton of experience.
Oh, dude.
Thad Franklin, ton of experience. Jalen Knight,
Parrish
ton of experience.
Yeah.
Coming back, a kid from a good program that has good experience. And then the receiver rooms, athletes, Ladson coming over. Does he lead the room? That's the biggest question mark. I mean, do we have a great dominant player at that position? And
well,
then
here's the
there's
thing:
tons
a
of
good
talent.
quarterback is going to make everybody better, and that's what you want. That's what we have in Tyler Van Dyke. I gotta say though, guys, it's been great. We're running a little short on time here, so I do have to wrap this up. But I want to thank you guys for everybody for listening to the inaugural Canescast. We're going to see you guys next week after whatever huge beatdown we put on Bethune-Cookman. I'm pumped for it. We'll get to see all these quarterbacks and the full depth that we've been talking about today. With the Canescast, I'm Phil Van Pelt.
I'm Garrett Halsey, everybody.
See you next week, guys.
It's all about the U, baby.
Always all about the U.